So I don't.
I want to thank everyone for coming. Welcome. Sorry we're getting a little bit of a late start for those of you who joined us right at noon. We had the dreaded technical issues getting everything sorted. So this is a recording that hopefully you'll be watching at your leisure. I'd like to thank some of the folks who have been able to join us for coming today. Why we're here? We are Organic Tea Star, and we are a boutique supplier that specializes in sustainable apparel for the branded merch industry, and we offer lines from Europe that you can't find anywhere else. One of the advantages we have here in the States and Canada in the branded merch industry is that we've been doing this work in Europe for well over a decade. And Europe's about 10 years ahead in terms of sustainability mindset and putting the money where their mouth is in the industry with branded merch. And so we've sort of seen and gone through the processes that the US is in now. I think it's safe to say in the States, we're really at the early stages of the sustainability movement. We all go to the conferences, the PPI expos, the ASI shows. There's a lot of breakout sessions talking about sustainability. It's the future, and it really is. But we also talk to a lot of distributors around the country and clients who are interested in sustainability. They know that this is the future, but we hear a lot that we're just not really sure how to sell it and how to talk about it. And that's really the goal today. First, I want to just introduce some of the folks who will be talking today. My name is Joe Linstroth. I am the sales director for Organic Tea Star. A little bit later, you'll hear from Deyan Angeloev. He's the CEO and founder in the branded merch industry and in sustainable branded merch for well over a decade. And then at the end, you'll hear from Michael Hau. He runs our sales and marketing in the European Union. He's a longtime veteran in the sustainable apparel space, working as a sales manager for one of the largest, if not the largest, manufacturers of organic cotton apparel in the world. It's particularly in Europe, Stanley Stella. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the business case for sustainable branded merch. We're going to go into a little bit about how to sell it with a story. Branded merch and sustainable branded merch is different. And there are stories that you can use to sell. And then we're going to kind of break down all the certifications. There's all kinds of letters and acronyms and stamps and seals and kind of what do they mean? Which ones are important? Because that'll really also help you sell the product or know what you're buying if you're an end client. First, let's start with the business case. I mean, look, let's be honest, climate change, we're going to skip the questions, Adrian, because there's not a whole lot of participation with those. So let's be honest, probably most of us care about climate change. Most of us see it happening, but we're also in business. So we don't really need to get into the political, into the moral motivations. If those are why you're into it, that's great. But I think right now where we are is that there's a business case for it. It really doesn't matter. And why is that the case? We're going to talk about a couple reasons why. And one of them is worker demographics and expectations are changing. I pulled some stats here from really reputable sources. The younger generations are bringing just a new mindset and new expectations into the workplace, whether they work for a corporation, a municipality, or a government agency, a nonprofit. They just want more from their employer. They just want to see more. They want to feel like they're working and their work matters at a place that is kind of thinking beyond the bottom line and looking to at least make a little bit more of a difference in the world, while also making a profit and doing business. So a couple stats I think that really hammer this home. In 2025, millennials are going to make up 40% of the workforce, Gen Z about 27%. You know, if you do Google that, you'll see pages and pages of references that 75% is a number for millennials in the workforce. That number is bunk. It somehow got spread around. These numbers are a bit more realistic. If you do the math, 75% just doesn't make any sense. But there are increasing numbers. They are predominantly the new hires in any organization. And let's be honest, any of you who is over 40 The world is changing. The young folks think differently. That's not new than any other generational change that's happening. And we just have to be mindful of it, aware of it, because again, it makes business sense. So as I mentioned, these younger generations, they're changing the workplace. They want more. The number one issue they care about is climate change. Pew Research Center, Fast Company. These are actual surveys and stats. So of all the issues you care about in the world and all the intractable problems we're dealing with and that these young folks care about, climate change is the number one. 50% of Gen Z, 46% of millennials say they are pressuring businesses to act on climate change. That's from Deloitte, 2023. So there's stats and numbers to back up what I think we're already seeing, right? I think if you pay attention, you sort of intuitively know that. So you add on that these are all the new hires. They're bringing in a different mindset into the workplace. And then you take atop the economic realities of today. Talent, the competition for talent is extremely cutthroat, extremely intense. Companies, tech companies, engineering companies, PR firms, you name it, are all competing. Nonprofits, again, governments, municipalities, NGOs, they're all competing for the same level of talent. And they need to differentiate themselves. They need to find those talented people to keep their organizations going, growing, and innovating. And so you combine those two things, the worker demographics are changing, the talent competition is intense, and here's your sales pitch for sustainable branded merch. It's essential for talent attraction and retention. So again, there was nothing about politics, nothing about high-minded ideals about climate change. It's really just a business case. So if you go in with that mindset and talking to the decision makers at your client or your clients, or if you are an end user, you know inherently that this is true. It makes sense, and that's how you sell it. And so don't take our word for it. We have a couple of really awesome quotes that I think hammer this home. Again, from Deloitte, one of the top consulting firms in the world, accounting firms, to win the hearts of Generation Z, companies and employers will need to highlight their efforts to be good global citizens. And actions speak louder than words. Companies must demonstrate their commitment to a broader set of societal challenges such as sustainability, climate change, and hunger. So we can talk all day about sustainability. Yes, we're green, but you hand someone a sustainable branded merch product. It could be a shirt, could be a water bottle, could be a backpack, could be a vegan leather computer bag, whatever it is, with your logo on it and a tag that shows that this is sustainable to a new hire, to a prospective hire, to even your current employees to retain them. And it shows, doesn't tell. I come from a writing background. One of the main rules of writing is show, don't tell. And you really show and you put your money where your mouth is. So that's really the strong business case. There's another quote, if you move the slide, please, Adrian, from Fast Company. Everyone likes free stuff, but these days giveaway items need to have a perceived value beyond that of cheap water bottles and branded pens. For a brand to make a statement with this swag, it needs to consider what its audience actually values and appeal to those values in a more purposeful way. So, again, this is exactly what we're talking about. I think we're seeing a shift in our industry of clients wanting branded merch that isn't just going to get tossed in the landfill. We hear that term, we've heard that term tossed around at our conference and conventions, brand fill. They want something that matters. And so, yes, I think you're going to hear a lot of times, whoa, sustainable, the price point's going to be a little bit higher. Sometimes not a lot higher. And the way you talk about that, or the way you look at it, if you're, the buyer, and the way you look at it as if you're the seller, is for just a little bit more. You show, don't tell your values. And that outreach, that is invaluable to retain and attract talent. So I think that's the business case for sustainable branded merch. I want to pivot to stories. Here's the really cool thing about sustainable branded merch is there are people involved here. And it's not just a plastic water bottle, a cheap pen, as we just referenced there. There are people who took the time and effort to create companies and create supply chains where the people are paid a living wage, where the cotton is grown with sustainable business, with sustainable practices, where the manufacturing processes, they're conscious of the energy usage and the waste produced. People go out of their way to do this, and how they do it and who these people are is interesting inherently. They have stories to tell. This product has a story to tell. I don't know, I used to be in the wine business, and I'd sell a lot of wine talking about who the winemakers were and what the land was like where they grew that wine. It's the same thing with sustainable branded merch. And stories are incredibly powerful things to get people interested in the products and considering them. So I want to pass it over to Deyan Angeloev, who's going to talk. We have a couple examples here. Talk about one specific line of apparel called Tiger Cotton.
Hey everyone, I'm Deyan Angeloev, and I'm gonna tell you the story about the tiger cotton map, as you can see at the moment. Why is tiger? Tiger is, you can see the two habitats of the tiger. Between this is corridors, but between these corridors there is a land of 1,000 farmers who was not planting anything for 5 years, and to clean the soil of any chemicals, any pesticide, and then they start making organic cotton. But meanwhile, this allows to tiger moving between these two habitats on these corridors and um, make diversity and biodiversity return in these habitats of the tiger. This project is working together with WWF, and because of that, the tiger came the name of the tiger collection. Also, one of the most important things that because the cotton that is used, the waste cotton, we don't throw it away. We're using for hand tags and for the buttons for the product that we making for organic. But this things is very important because not only helping the farmers to grow organic and clean the soil, but also we're helping to the biodiversity, we're helping to the tiger, we're helping to everything in the area to become in normal life because the soil and the no pollution and everything now is clean. This is the story that can sell the tiger. This is for me.
Thanks, Dan. Another example that's a great one is called Mantis World. They're another apparel producer out of the UK, a B Corporation, which means they went through a extremely rigorous certification process in order to look at their environmental footprint, but also how they treat their employees and pay their employees. And it's also minority and women owned. And so I know we talked to a lot of distributors who have clients who are asking for these things. They want to purchase their products from, say, a women-owned business, even to businesses, things made in the USA. We hear that all the time. B Corps, those types of things. So, and what they actually do and how they differentiate themselves is every one of their pieces of apparel has a QR code on the tag. So if you scan that, any recipient of one of their products scans that on their phone, this pops up. Our concrete stats about what one of those pieces of apparel, so let's say, for example, a Mantis World t-shirt, how much water it saved in usage to make that shirt, how much electricity was saved in making that shirt, and how the reduction of pesticides were made in shirt. So it really like grounds it and tells that story of this garment is what you saved, how the ripple effects down the supply chain and to what happens in the world and the climate there. And it's right there. There are plenty of other products that aren't apparel. There are notebooks made from things like elephant dung. There are, bamboo pens. There are even electronics and electronic chargers that are made with sustainable product or sustainable components inside. But those all have a story. And learning that story and learning the story of that manufacturer and the people who took the time to do it differently and try to make the world a little bit better place while also making a premium product is just inherently fascinating and something you can use to sell. Now, the third component I think that also can be useful to sell are certifications. if you even have touched a little bit and dabbled a little bit in the sustainable world, it can be overwhelming. Acronyms, all these different, as you see these these tags or badges, and it can, what matters, which ones matter, which ones don't, which ones are subscriptions, which ones are actually third-party inspected and have rigorous standards, which ones are sort of greenwashing, etc. And to really bring this home, Michael Hau is an expert in all of these certifications. I'm going to turn it over to him to talk about this in more detail.
Thank you, Joe. So expert and veteran, that's two new words I heard today. So thank you for that. Veteran makes me really feel old. But I thought about, and you said the word storytelling. Huh? So I can tell you a story while talking about certifications. So yeah, as Joe said, there is, I think, each day popping up a new certification. I'm sitting here in Germany, Cologne, and our government 1 year ago launched the green button. Well, it's pure greenwashing. So the other point is that our clients, what I experience as a sales manager, that our clients are always having the time to read themselves into everything and to challenge us as a salesperson to answer their questions. And I would like to help you with few examples and few sentences to focus on the right things. My initial kickoff into the sustainable and ethical part was in 2000, roughly 12, 13, and I invite you to Google for Rana Plaza. Rana Plaza was a factory in Bangladesh, Dhaka, where the building collapsed and roughly 1,000 of workers died. And I faced myself in a sales position at that time. I was a country manager for another Belgian company. And I asked myself what I'm doing here. What is the product I'm selling here? And I started to investigate. And so Rana Plaza, luckily, our company was not producing there, but I did not receive the answers, which I was asking for. My clients were pushing me to give the answers. And I left that company because I was not satisfied with the answers I got. And on the other side, then, when I investigated another thing, which I would like to check you on YouTube, check for the cancer train. The cancer train is a train that goes from east coast to west coast in India, and collecting people that got sick in our industry, in the apparel industry, from working with dyes, dyings, all the pesticides, everything. And unfortunately, in India, there is only one good hospital. Well, India, let's say that's a good hospital which can treat people with cancer. And but if you're on that train, you know that you're a dead person. And these people get sick because they produce and manufacture our apparel, our garments. And I understood at that time there needs to be a change. And so I left that manufacturer at that time. And when Stanley Stella came back to me a couple of years ago, I said, no, I don't want to work anymore here for you, for textile. But they convinced me because they said, we are working with these and these certificates. And to be honest, at that time, I had no clue. So let me give you a kind of overview, quick overview. Why are there so many certifications needed on the market? For me, it's like a box of candies. If you have a box of candies and you can only have one candy, one piece, you will not be happy. If you can have the full box, you will be happy. So the full mixture makes it. And let's start from probably top left. So you see there is the PETA approved vegan certificate. Just quick. Joe, I heard that you are a wine expert. You know that there are several wines which are also now vegan approved. Some are not. Do you know why?
I don't.
Okay, so like wine, also the dyes, the inks that are used for dyeing the textile, in the older days they were filtered with animal bladders, with the urine bladders, and so Peter, no animal shall be harmed. So nowadays it's possible, but still some, let's say, ancient production ways, they do it. So they kill animals for that we can have colorful garments. So there's always a little bit. Let's go deeper. Then we have here, there is the fair wear, and that's a difference. So we have memberships and we have certificates. It's a little bit different again, but your clients will have the time to read and to challenge you. Fairware, you can be member. It's not a certificate. You can be member in Fairware, and Fairware audits the factories. So, for example, that we do not have any child labor, any child working in the factories, that we have the ILO, the International Labor Organization, checking for human and ethical good production places. So that's the ethical part, which takes care of people. Well, Piranha Plaza would have not happened if Fairware would have been there at that time. So that's a kind of membership. That's one important point. And I only take 3 more. I will be finished in a second. So Oekotex. Oekotex is another certificate which is taking care that no harmful substances like chemicals, etc., pesticides, that they are no longer used. So that's another, like a small brick in building the house. OCS, which is the abbreviation for organic content status. Well, it explains already itself. So this makes sure that a certain percentage in each garment, which is having that certification, is really with true organic cotton filled, and not just, let's say, faking something and pretending to be. And then for me, there is, I would call it the godfather of everything, is GOTS. It's the Global Organic Textile Standard. That's the, I would say, strongest certificate on the market. And here it really is, I'm looking for words. So GOTS is bringing the possibility to trace the cotton from the farmer to the ginning, spinning, and manufacturing part. And also when your decorator wants to still keep the GOTS label on the product, he needs to print with water-based and sustainable inks. So the chain is completely transparent and traceable. And last on that, so, and all this, Joe was speaking about doing business and earning money. And whenever, especially in Asian, in these kind of countries, whenever there is money in the game, there's also bribery in the game. So also, please, I invite you to Google that, because you can use that as a sales argument with your clients. In 2020-21, we found out by surprise that we were selling the double volume of, on this planet, produced organic cotton. So we just sold the double of the volume. And at some point, people started to ask questions. So for sure, organic cotton is more expensive to produce, and for sure, people earn more money. So then they said, okay, we are selling non-organic cotton as organic cotton. And also that was then a learning for GOTS. That's why we are now already at GOTS version 6. So they're improving from time really frequently. But also companies like Stanley Stella changed their process, and we do at Stanley Stella unregular DNA tests in European laboratories. So we can, with the DNA, we can really see if it's organic cotton or non-organic cotton. So these are, just in a brief moment, just to explain. I could talk for hours. Joe knows that, and Deyan knows that as well. So if you are interested, I invite you to connect to me on LinkedIn, and for sure to Organic Tista, because we will have a lot of more content to share on that. Sorry, we're a little bit longer than expected. Sorry for that, Joe.
No, that was awesome, Michael. I have a question. I just want, can you mentioned at the top the difference between certificates and memberships?
Yeah.
Is one better than the other at all? Like, does that matter? Like, what's the distinctions between those?
No, it's really it's a kind of, one is an organization which takes care of we need to be a member. But the other, how to explain? Yeah, for GOTS, you need to have frequent recertifications. So, for example, we at Organic Tista, we got recertified as a GOTS in January this year, which is a process. Deyan knows that it's quite painful, because you need to fulfill a lot of steps. You need to prove that, for example, no non-organic garments get in touch with organic garments, because then they can get, what's the right word for that? Well, anyway, they need to be really
contaminated.
Yeah, that's it. They need to really be separate from each other. So for Fairware, they take care of that. With the certification, you need to take care that you fulfill all the things. So that's very the way of the approach. But one of that all is on its own, it's worth nothing. It only makes this kind of bouquet of everything you need to have. And then you have the right structure, and you can really say, we are completely from A to Z secured to take up the garment and the people there.
You know, Deyan, can you just talk for a brief second as someone who's gone through the GOTS certification process, the Global Organic Textile Standard process that Michael was talking about? That's the gold standard, if you will. You know, what is that? Can you tell a little bit about what that involves? How much of a, I guess, a pain in the butt it can be sometimes?
Oh yeah. Now it's the new version is 7.0.
Oh.
Even it's harder than version 6.0. They requested so many paperwork, improvement, even test on the garments that we have on stock every month. All the process, the water, the place that we're saving, the fire improvement, so many things, like 2 days of audit in the office, 1 month before that preparing the documents, security, payroll, insurance, everything. It's a folder with papers that we need to prepare for just 2 days audit. Then we have always there is a 1 month to close the problem that they found in the office. I mean, this year we just only 2, but it's very easy to be covered. But it's, as I said, a lot of efforts and time to prepare to be certified. And you have to be careful always. What are you doing? How you storage? How you transport? I mean, even from our warehouse to the printing house, we need to have a paper for that to prove what quantity, what product we deliver, and after that protocol for the backward. You know, everything has to be tracked. All the emails that we receiving from the clients about the request, for the organic product have to be shown to the audit during the time. You know, all the process, everything that is going through this, it's very important. It's a lot of work. So many people involved, so many information, so many papers, but it's worth it because this, in the end, we can issue transaction certificate to our clients, approving that whole process, all the supply chain, everything is 100% organic. We didn't harm the environment, and we do the best for preserve the products and the nature.
That's great. Thank you, Dan. You know, we're right at about our 30-minute mark, and I want to be mindful and respectful of everyone's time who took the time to join us today. Are there any questions that you might have? Do you get any questions from your clients, or if you are an end user client, about sustainability that you don't know the answer to, that you want to throw out to the group here? We'd like to take a little time for questions.
Hey, Joe, I'm not really getting a lot of questions on the sustainability part. I feel like with the explanation that you provide, you know, we do our best to convey the message. I don't think people are questioning the process that you're doing so much. I don't get that from anybody. It all comes, a lot of times it'll come down to pricing.
Yep.
But, you know, I know you guys have a fantastic product, and I look forward to being able to show that to some of my clients here real soon.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate, first of all, you taking time to join us and to share that. I think that's exactly right. You know, I mean, this is not the first time we've heard that. And I think everyone wants to be sustainable, you know, and yet it does come down to price. And you know, that was some of where we're going about why some of this stuff can be more expensive. Not always, but it usually is. Let's just be real. But what you can get for it and how to make the case for why maybe spending a little bit more. Sometimes that moves the needle, sometimes that doesn't. But what's driving that graph, if you will, of growth are the younger generations. They're just going to start taking us and demand it, and they're going to eventually be the ones with the budgets. You know,
they're
early. You know,
yeah, that's happening more and more every week. Where
Totally.
the younger people are the marketing people. So I think you guys are on the right path. And like I said, I look forward to really not just getting it in their hands first and then see where that conversation takes us.
It's a process, right? It's getting it into your hands, then getting some talking points here, then getting it into your client's hands so they can see, feel, touch the difference. You know, literally say, feel the organic cotton difference. You put it next to some of the leading brands, if you will, not to mention any others that are more conventional cotton. You can see and feel the difference. You really can.
And I can add,
Sometimes it does feel, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah, Joe, I can add also something to this information, that organic cotton is very good for your health. I mean, for your skin and for your health, because there is no any pesticide, any poison, nothing.
Natalie, I'm sorry, Natalie, before you go, if you want to leave us your name and address and t-shirt size, we'll send you a free Tiger Cotton t-shirt for joining us today. Sorry to cut you off, Dan. I just saw it has to go. Please, everyone, throw your name and your address and your t-shirt size in the chat, and we'll get a t-shirt out to you so we can get it in your hands and you can feel that difference. And for those of you who are tuning in at a later time, please send us your name, your address, and your t-shirt size to sales@organictstar.com, and we will also get you a Tiger Cotton t-shirt so you can see that tag and feel the difference. Dan, please continue.
Yeah, and I can add also that in the organic cotton, you don't sweating. I mean, not that much at all. And also, you know, the organic cotton regulates your body temperature during the winter and during the summer.
Thanks, Dan.
And also the organic cotton is very useful, long lasting during the time you using and wear it. We say that the organic cotton is covering 30, 30, 30, 30. It means 30 time wearing, 30 time washing, 30 time drying times, and even more. But let's say 30. This period, and it's not even in the end on the landfill. It's compostable.
Great. I want to thank everyone for taking the time on a Friday during your lunch hour, or if you're watching this later, just taking the time to join us. We are free and able to answer any questions about just selling sustainable branded merch, regardless of whether it's apparel or not. Please contact us at any time. You can reach all of us at sales@organictstar.com or joe@organictstar.com, Deyan, Deyan, @organictstar.com, or Michael @organictstar.com. Thanks again, and everyone, and have a great weekend.